I swear, if that kid spills one more damn coffee, I'm going to make him mop the parking lot with his face. Laughter exploded in the break room of Goldstone Ventures, a well-known tech startup in downtown Los Angeles. The source of the cruel remark was Brandon Keller, the company's senior operations manager, a man as arrogant as he was insecure. His target, a scrawny delivery boy named Jaden Brooks, 18, polite, quiet, always in oversized sneakers and a worn-out Navy cap. Jaden stood just outside the door, gripping the last box of breakfast orders. He'd heard every word. His throat tightened, but he didn't flinch. He walked in, chin down, and quietly placed the coffee tray on the table. Here's the last order, 1 black, 2 vanilla lattes, and your caramel cappuccino, sir. Brandon snatched the cup without a word. Behind him, marketing rep Cindy muttered under her breath, "Bet he can't even spell cappuccino." More laughter. Jaden left with his usual nod and faded smile, but no one noticed the quiet fire in his eyes. No one cared about the kid in the hoodie. To them, he was just background noise, unseen, unimportant. What they didn't know was that Jaden wasn't just delivering food, he was studying. Every morning, he observed how their startup worked. He watched who argued over app designs, who stayed late, who whispered about the next funding round. He read discarded pitch decks left on tables, memorized acronyms, researched on his cracked phone between deliveries. And at night, Jaden coded. He coded until his fingers ached. Back in his tiny apartment, surrounded by pizza boxes and second-hand textbooks, he worked on his own app. Something simple, but game-changing. A logistics algorithm that predicted high-volume delivery routes before peak hours, a tool that, if integrated correctly, could save companies millions. He pitched it to delivery companies. They said no. He refined it. He pitched again. No traction, no funding, no name. He didn't stop. 3 years passed. Jaden was now 21. His hair was neater, the hoodie replaced by a thrift store blazer. But he still delivered part-time. He used that job to test his software, quietly running analytics in the background, with permission from one small restaurant chain willing to experiment. That chain saved 40% in delivery costs over 6 months. Investors noticed. By 22, Jaden had a team. At 23, he had his first round of venture capital, $2 million. They called the company VibeGo. At 24, VibeGo began acquiring smaller delivery platforms. Efficient, sleek, AI-backed logistics, no fluff, just results. One of the companies struggling to keep up. Goldstone Ventures. Irony stung the air like static when Jaden, now in a tailored Navy suit, walked into Goldstone's glass tower, not with a delivery bag but a legal acquisition offer. The receptionist froze. "C, can I help you?" Jaden smiled politely. "Yes, I have a 10 a.m. meeting with the board. My name is Jaden Brooks, founder and CEO of VibeGo." She stammered, "You're the Jaden Brooks." A moment later, the elevator chimed. On the 19th floor, Brandon Keller adjusted his collar, sipping his usual caramel cappuccino. He glanced at the conference room, then dropped his cup when he saw who entered. "Jaden," he said, eyes wide. Jaden gave a polite nod. "Good to see you again, Brandon." The boardroom buzzed in hushed confusion. Jaden opened his laptop. "Let's begin." The acquisition was swift, clean, and brutal. After presenting financials, future projections, and a plan to revitalize the failing parts of Goldstone's operations, Jaden leaned back, effective immediately. VibeGo will assume operational control. Existing staff will be evaluated based on merit and past conduct. Brandon scoffed. "You're not serious." Jaden turned to him slowly, his expression calm but deadly. 3 years ago, you mocked me over coffee. You and your team belittled me every chance you got. You never once asked if I had ideas, dreams, or even a name. He stood. "Well, my name is Jaden Brooks, and as of today, I own this company." Brandon stood too, fists clenched. "You think buying this place means anything? You're still just a punk in a hoodie." "No," Jaden interrupted. "I'm the one who worked when you laughed. I learned when you gossiped. And I rose while you stood still. Silence. One of the board members coughed awkwardly. We'll proceed with the transition plan. Brandon was fired within the week. Cindy was given a chance. She apologized. Jaden didn't need revenge. What he wanted, what he built, was bigger than that. The media ran the story. Delivery boy turned tech giant. Acquires former bully's startup. But Jaden never bragged. He just got back to work. Jaden stepped out of the boardroom, the city skyline stretching far beyond the floor-to-ceiling glass. His chest rose slowly, not from pride, not from vengeance, from weight, a weight he'd carried alone for years, now beginning to lift. Mr. Brooks, a young assistant, approached nervously, holding a leather folder. The transition team is ready downstairs. Do you want to? Jaden smiled gently. Give me 5 minutes. She nodded and walked off. Jaden walked toward the same elevator he used to ride with a brown paper bag in hand. The buttons hadn't changed, but everything else had. As he descended, flashes of memory returned, standing in the rain outside this very building, waiting for someone to buzz him in, having the wrong order, and being told off like a child, dropping coffee on the marble floor and being laughed at while he knelt to clean it. He had felt invisible. No, worse, disposable. At the lobby, he stepped outside. Reporters were beginning to gather, tipped off by industry whispers. Jaden Brooks, is it true you were once a delivery boy here? He kept walking. 3 years earlier, Jaden sat in a laundromat at midnight, clothes spinning, phone screen cracked. His fingers hovered over a line of code. Come on, he whispered. He had rewritten the routing algorithm 4 times that week. It still didn't reduce wait times in real-world tests. A single bug in the prediction model kept bottlenecking his logistics loop. Yo, Jay, a voice called. Jaden turned. It was Malik, his childhood friend, a former mechanic who now worked graveyard shifts at a gas station. You still working on that nerd stuff? Malik asked, dropping into the plastic chair beside him with 2 cans of root beer. Jaden chuckled. Yeah, can't sleep till it's right. Malik popped the tab. You realize most people would have quit by now. Yeah, Jaden said softly. But I'm not most people. Malik raised his can. That's why you're going to make it. That moment kept Jaden warm on nights when the radiator didn't work. It echoed in his mind when he walked out of investor pitch rooms, rejected again and again. The only consistent thing in his life back then was failure and the refusal to stay there. Back in present day, the takeover had made headlines. CNBC ran a segment called From Delivery to Domination, The Rise of Jaden Brooks. But not everyone was thrilled. In a tiny cafe across town, Brandon Keller seethed. He's lucky, Brandon growled. His friend, Carl, shrugged. Or maybe he just outworked everyone. Bullshit. He cheated. No way a kid goes from sandwiches to CEO without cutting corners. Brandon pulled out his phone and began typing an anonymous tip to a business gossip blog suggesting Jaden had stolen his algorithm from another company. It was a weak play, but Brandon was desperate. In his world, losing status meant losing identity. Jaden sat alone in his new office, formerly Brandon's, looking out at the same cityscape. He didn't feel powerful. He felt exhausted. Then his phone rang. Malik, yo, they got your story all over Twitter, man. You're trending. Jaden smiled. Yeah, they're calling you the silent tycoon. That's hard. Jaden laughed. I didn't ask for all that. Still, you earned it. There was a pause. You okay, though? Malik asked. You sound distant. Jaden leaned back. I don't know. I thought it would feel different. Like what? Like winning. Malik's voice softened. Jay, you didn't build this to prove them wrong. You built it to prove yourself right. Don't let their shadows block your light. Jaden exhaled deeply. Thanks, man. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. Jaden restructured Goldstone from the inside out. He removed redundant execs, empowered mid-level engineers, brought in consultants to clean up bloated processes. Most of all, he created an environment where no one was invisible. One day, While walking through the redesigned lounge area, Jaden spotted a young man, no older than 20, carrying a delivery bag. The boy looked nervous, glancing around at the posh furniture, the glass-walled offices. Jaden smiled and walked over. "Hey, first day delivering here." The boy nodded. "Yeah, got the breakfast order for, marketing." Jaden reached into his wallet, pulled out a 50, and handed it over. "Keep it." The boy's eyes widened. "Sir, thank you." Jaden patted his shoulder. "No one's around here. Just people working hard. That's what matters." He walked away, unaware that the boy would never forget that moment. Just like Jaden never forgot when no one did it for him. But success attracted vultures. A week later, Brandon's anonymous claim reached a blog with some pull. Within hours, headlines flared. Did Jaden Brooks steal his algorithm? Jaden was called into an emergency meeting with his legal team and board. His CTO, Anina, spoke first. "We've got the source code, timestamps, auth repositories, .commits, even server logs. If we go public with them, it'll destroy the accusations." Jaden sat quietly. "Do it," he said finally. "But we won't smear anyone, just truth." The blog was forced to issue a retraction. Still, Jaden called Brandon. "You're better than this," he said calmly. Brandon laughed bitterly. "I'm better than you, and I always will be. You got lucky, Jaden." Jaden's voice didn't waver. "Luck doesn't code at 3 a.m. Luck doesn't sleep on the floor to save rent. Luck didn't build Vibago. I did. And you still can't say thank you for that job you once laughed at." He hung up. Months passed. Vibago exploded in value, becoming the fastest growing logistics tech firm in the country. Jaden now stood before a crowd of thousands at Tech World Expo. Lights, cameras, applause. He began his keynote. "My name is Jaden Brooks. Some of you know me as the founder of Vibago, but years ago, I was just the kid delivering coffee in the back room." The crowd hushed. I was mocked, ignored, underestimated. I was told I didn't belong, that I wasn't smart enough, but I didn't believe them. He paused. Because I knew something they didn't. Every big idea starts small, just like the people who build them. Applause thundered. Behind stage, Malik clapped with pride, holding back tears. Later that night, Jaden sat alone on the rooftop of his headquarters. The city lights shimmered. His phone buzzed. It was a message from someone unexpected. "Cindy, hey, I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything back then. You didn't deserve it, and you inspire me now." Jaden stared at the screen for a moment, then typed back, "Jaden, thank you. That means more than you know." He locked the phone, closed his eyes, and breathed deeply. He wasn't the delivery boy anymore. He was the one who delivered. 6 months later, Vibago opened its first European branch. Jaden stood in front of the newly unveiled Vibago Paris headquarters, flanked by 2 rows of former delivery workers turned managers. He shook every hand, spoke fluent French with local partners, and gave each person on the team the same message: you are not small. What you do matters. Media across Europe hailed him as the ground-up genius. In one interview, a reporter asked, "What drives you now that you've made it?" Jaden looked her straight in the eye. "I haven't made it until every person who's been overlooked is finally seen." But privately, Jaden began to crack. The pressure was constant. Meetings bled into dinners. Investors demanded faster growth. Vibago Asia had hiccups in Seoul. A bug in the algorithm cost a food chain a major client. One mistake and social media turned hostile. His calendar was full, but his heart was empty. One night, he returned to his La Penthouse, a sleek space with glass walls and leather furniture, and collapsed on the couch. His phone buzzed. "Malik, haven't seen you in weeks, man. You alive?" Jaden replied slowly. "Jaden, barely. Might be time I took a step back." Minutes later, his phone rang. "Yo," Malik said. "I'm downstairs. Come open the damn door." Jaden blinked. He walked to the elevator barefoot and opened the lobby door to find Malik holding a bag of tacos and a 6-pack. "Emergency therapy," Malik said. "Sit your billionaire ass down." They sat on the couch, silence between bites. Jaden finally spoke. I feel like I'm living someone else's life. Malik raised an eyebrow. You built this. Yeah, but it's not just about tech anymore. It's politics, optics, boardroom wars. I miss coding. I miss being invisible sometimes. Malik leaned back. You know what your real problem is. Jaden turned. You spent so long trying to be seen. Now you don't know how to breathe when the spotlight's on you. Jaden laughed quietly. Maybe. Maybe I just need to remember why I started. The next day, Jaden held a surprise town hall at VibeGo HQ. Hundreds of employees crammed into the auditorium, expecting another product update. Instead, Jaden stood in jeans and a hoodie, no script, no slides. Let me tell you a story, he began, about a kid who delivered coffee to a company where no one said his name, about how he used every insult as fuel, about how he promised himself that if he ever built something, no one in it would ever feel small again. The room went still. I'm that kid, he said, but somewhere along the way, I started acting like the people I swore I'd never become: distant, unreachable, tired. That stops today. From now on, we rebuild this company around purpose, not pressure, around people, not power. Standing ovation. Tears in the eyes of the cleaning crew. Applause from senior engineers. A message that reverberated across every VibeGo office globally. But not everyone liked the change. In London, VibeGo's new regional director, Ethan Vale, watched the town hall stream in silence. Ethan had been brought in by the board, a numbers man with a Wall Street background and zero patience for Jaden's idealism. To him, loyalty didn't drive growth. Efficiency did. He picked up the phone and dialed a board member. Jaden's speech, cute, but he's forgetting this is a company, not a charity. He's too emotional. The board began whispering. Back in law, Jaden was unaware of the storm brewing. He'd begun a mentorship program inviting young entrepreneurs from underserved neighborhoods to shadow VibeGo leaders. He invited Malik to run the first cohort. You sure? Malik asked. I mean, I'm not exactly suit and tie. Jaden grinned. Exactly why you're perfect. They need someone real. Meanwhile, Ethan was secretly positioning himself as an alternative CEO. He created reports that exaggerated losses, downplayed social impact, and framed Jaden's vision as reckless. Within weeks, two major investors called Jaden in for a discussion. We're concerned, one said. Your values are noble, another added, but investors want returns. Jaden listened, and then he made a decision. That night, he called Malik. Can I ask you something crazy? Always. I want to step down as CEO, stay on as founder, but hand over day to day. Damn, Malik whispered. You sure? Jaden exhaled. I built this to lift others. If I stay now, I'm blocking the next generation. Who do you trust to take over? Jaden smiled. A week later, VibeGo's board assembled for an emergency meeting. Jaden stood at the head of the table, calm. I'm resigning as CEO, he announced. Shock rippled across the room. Effective immediately, he continued. I'll be stepping into a founder's role focusing on mentorship, innovation, and purpose initiatives. I've appointed my successor. Ethan leaned forward, smug. Jaden turned and nodded toward Malik, who walked in wearing a dark blazer and his usual boots. Meet your new CEO, Jaden said. Ethan's jaw dropped. One board member scoffed. He's a mechanic, Jaden grinned. He's also the one who taught me more about leadership than any of you. He knows what it means to be overlooked. He knows how to listen. And he's not afraid of the grind. Silence. Then one investor spoke. If he's anything like you, Jaden, I'm in. The vote passed. Malik was CEO. Jaden walked out into the sunlight. No reporters, no fanfare, just freedom. Years later, a university awarded Jaden an honorary doctorate. During his speech, he said, success is not what you have. It's what you give. And I gave my pain a purpose. In the crowd sat dozens of delivery drivers, single moms, Students, janitors, they saw themselves in him, and for the first time, they felt seen. 3 years had passed since Jaden stepped down as CEO. He had returned to the streets, not as a delivery boy this time, but as a silent force for change. With Vibago's stock soaring and its new leadership thriving under Malik, Jaden now poured his time into something no press would cover: neighborhoods like the one he grew up in. He bought back the building where he used to live, apartment 3B, the one with the broken heat, and turned it into a community tech hub. He funded boot camps for single moms, returning veterans, and ex-cons. He walked into high schools and sat at the back of classrooms, waiting for that one kid who was just like him, head down, notebook full of ideas, heart full of fire. No one else saw. He didn't wear suits anymore. He wore a hoodie again. And every time someone looked confused, seeing the delivery boy billionaire dressed like a broke college kid, he smiled. Because he no longer needed validation. He had found peace and purpose. One afternoon, while reviewing funding for a coding camp, he got a message from Cindy Martinez. Subject: speaking invitation. Hi, Jaden. I'm organizing a panel at Goldstone, now Vibe Tech, for interns and young hires. I know this might sound crazy, but would you consider coming back as our opening speaker? We want them to hear what resilience really looks like. Jaden stared at the message. For a moment, the old wounds tugged, but he replied with just 2 words: I'll come. The day arrived. Jaden walked through the same revolving doors, but this time the receptionist stood up instantly. Mr. Brooks, welcome back. He smiled and nodded. Cindy greeted him with warm eyes and a firm handshake. Thank you for doing this. I'm not doing it for the company, he said gently. I'm doing it for them. She understood. In the auditorium, dozens of new hires waited, bright-eyed, nervous, full of dreams and doubts. Jaden stepped onto the stage. A hush fell. He looked around. 20 years ago, he began. I walked into this building carrying coffee. No one remembered ordering. I was invisible. Silence. But every day, I watched, I learned, I failed, and I kept going. He stepped forward. People mocked me, said I didn't belong, that I was just a delivery boy. He paused. They were right. I was just a delivery boy. Smiles flickered. But what they didn't know was that being just a delivery boy teaches you everything about people: who they are when they think you don't matter, who they become when they think you're beneath them. Now the room was listening, not with awe, but with connection. He continued, voice steady. I built a company not to prove them wrong, but to prove to myself that I could take the broken pieces of who I was and build something whole. He looked directly at one young intern in the back, a shy black girl with big glasses and a worn-down laptop on her knees. And so can you. Applause swelled, not polite, not forced, real. After the event, the girl approached him. Mr. Brooks, I want to build something too, but everyone tells me it's unrealistic. Jaden knelt slightly so they were eye level. What's your name? Layla. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a thin card. Layla, you now have direct access to my team. No gatekeepers, no filters. Send me your idea when you're ready. Her hands trembled as she took it. I won't forget this, she whispered. Jaden smiled. Just pay it forward one day. Years later, Jaden sat alone in a quiet cafe in Ghana. He had been traveling across Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America, visiting grassroots programs VibeGo had funded. He rarely gave interviews anymore. The world saw less of him, and he liked it that way. A young local boy approached him, holding a cracked tablet. Are you the man from the video? Jaden looked up. Which video? The one where you said, every big idea starts small. I saw it at school. My teacher showed us. Jaden chuckled. Yeah, that was me. The boy looked amazed. I want to build something too. Jaden put his hand on the table. Then start. Start small. Start scared. Start now. At age 45. Jaden was nominated for the Global Human Impact Award. They called him the architect of second chances. In his acceptance speech, he didn't talk about money companies or even technology. He said this: I stand here today because I was once mocked for being small. But every empire begins as a single brick. Every dream as a whisper no one hears. If you've ever felt invisible, unworthy, unwanted, this award is not for me. It's for you. He held up the trophy. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too poor. You are just getting started. The story ended where it began. Jaden returned, one last time, to his old delivery route, not to relive trauma, but to reclaim it. He walked the sidewalk in front of the Goldstone building, now renamed Vibe Tech Global. A new delivery boy passed by him, young, quiet, eyes unsure. Jaden smiled. Hey, he called. The boy turned. Don't let this job define you. Let it sharpen you. The boy nodded, not fully understanding yet, but one day he would. And when he did, he'd remember the man in the hoodie with kind eyes who said, "You are more than where you start."